It is important for you to understand that you should not read this book and then go out and settle down with the first woman you meet. This book is about finding the type of woman you feel you deserve to be with. Those feelings may change and evolve over time, as you change and evolve as a person. You may find the absolute perfect woman for you one day, and then 6 months later realize that there are subtle differences you would make that would create an even better situation for you. It's about constantly refining your criteria, and in the meantime, having the experiences you need to get out of the way so you can eventually focus 100% on the woman of your dreams. You won't have to spend your time with her wondering if the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. You will have been on the other side and experienced it. I will focus on giving you tools for lasting change so you can permanently undo your not so desirable habits and bring out the amazing man you are on the inside. The one that all women are just dying to meet. The great news is that you already have this natural talent and ability inside. If you allow me to coach you how to be comfortable being yourself, then you can be a 3% man and you will own the heart of the lady for life. Part 2. The Way Things Are. My evolution of understanding. I have dated many beautiful women in my lifetime. In my earlier years, I said and did all the wrong things that we men tend to do. In my later years of dating, I finally got it right. So how did I go from clueless wonder to getting to this point of understanding? There was one woman, my missing link, if you will, that opened my eyes to understanding women. Don't get me wrong, all the women in my life and all of my dating experiences helped to bring me to the point where I am today. But it was this particular woman that helped me put it all together. I mentioned this story in the introduction, but I wanted to go over it again to show how this particular relationship helped evolve my understanding of women. In my earlier years of dating, somewhere around 1994, I met this woman. She had dark hair, dark eyes, nice skin, and she was tiny. She told me straight up, "I'm 105 pounds." We had gone to high school together, but she had been a year behind me. I hadn't seen her for a couple of years, and I was out with a good friend of mine. She walked up, and I was just stunned. Her beauty left me breathless. I was having some beers with my buddy Sean, and he introduced us. I could tell she was interested by the way she was looking at me. I could feel that she was really attracted to me. That was my first awareness of understanding. There had been several times in my life where I had thought a woman was attracted to me and then could never get any further than her phone number. This was blatant and in my face. There was no doubt in my mind that this woman had a high level of interest. I was still pretty clueless back then, though. The night went on and we went our separate ways. When I woke up the next day, the horrible feeling dawned on me. I didn't get her number. However, she had told me where she had worked. I took a chance and called her at work and basically said, "Hi, this is Corey." She told me she was really busy, but asked me to give her my number and she would call me back the next day. I gave her my number and I just was in awe. I actually had butterflies in my stomach. This was the first time I had met a girl that I really liked that was also really into me. She actually called me the next day and I talked to her for at least an hour and a half on the phone. While we talked, she told me things such as she had just split up with her boyfriend and then went on to volunteer all these other information about her. She was asking me questions like, "How come you don't have a girlfriend?" I was kind of an open book. I wasn't much of a challenge. It wasn't until later I figured out I hadn't handled that part the right way. However, she did most of the talking, which was exactly the right thing to do. Honestly, I don't really remember much of what I said to her. I just let her talk and I listened. I have found that women love to talk. Men just need to learn how to listen. Believe me, gentlemen, there is a right and wrong way to the art of listening that we will be covering later in the book. Finally, she asked, "Why don't we go to lunch this week?" I jumped right on that and set a date. That was another thing I did right without even realizing it. I made a firm commitment for a date and then left it at that. So she showed up for lunch the next day wearing these really short shorts. She had an unbelievable body with a nice tan, and she was breathtaking. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I was working construction at the time. I was still going to school for construction management, and I was a project engineer at the job site office. I was in the back and I heard the door open and she walked in. The guys called out from the front saying, "Corey, your lunch date's here." When I walked out, the guys have been having a meeting at the conference table and they were just staring at her. It felt so good because she was obviously there to go out with me. That was another thing I did right. I knew she was there for me and I took pride in it. It didn't make me jealous to have all these guys staring at the woman I was dating. They were jealous of me being with her, but they were enjoying what they were seeing. In that regard, I was in a place of strength and confidence. A woman definitely takes notice of little things like that. We went up the street and had a great lunch. Again, she did most of the talking, which was the right thing. The truth is that I was nervous and couldn't think of much to say, so she just went on talking. She was very aggressive. After the first date, she was paging me and we'd meet out and have some drinks. With hindsight, I realize now that she was pursuing me because I did so little of the talking. I was a bit of a mystery to her. In reality, I was an open book and not sure enough of myself to speak up. She had just not caught on to that yet. My only thought was, this is great. This girl is all over me. Her dad was very wealthy and he owned a nightclub down in Fort Lauderdale. One night she invited me there. I went with another friend of mine. It was a very busy club. She had all these guys coming up to her and hugging her, and she seemed to know everybody there. She kept walking away and talking, and all these people kept grabbing her to talk. Finally, my friend said, "Let's go, dude. She doesn't care about you." I was pretty bummed out, but agreed. She really didn't seem to care whether I was there or not. The next morning she called me and asked, "What happened to you last night? I looked everywhere for you." I held the phone away thinking, what? I found out by accident that I had done the right thing. I had just walked away. If a woman is too sure of you, if she thinks she can walk all over you, the interest level drops. By not sitting back and letting her walk all over me, by walking away, it demonstrated my strength in letting her know that I was not going to take being ignored. It showed that I could walk away from her at any time. That wasn't the truth of what had happened, but that wasn't what she saw. I had walked away because I felt she didn't care about me, and now she wanted to know where I was at and what I was doing. It baffled me. This went on for another 2 or 3 weeks, and we went out a couple more times. I never did kiss her. We hugged every time we saw each other, but I just didn't have the guts to go for it. Eventually, she stopped calling. It got to the point where when I called her and left her a message, she called me the next day at my house, but she knew I wasn't there. I was at work. She had always paged me before, so she had called me at home on purpose when she knew I wouldn't be there. The bottom line was that I was so easy and so available that she saw me as being weak and could basically have her way with me. She would invite me to come out and I would meet her. I didn't take control. I had no center. Eventually she saw that and then she just blew me off. A guy who is good looking can get away on his looks for a first few dates, but if he is not centered and weak and always does what she wants, her interest will lower to the point where she doesn't want to see him anymore. That was what happened with me, and I was devastated. It was about 6 months later when I met the woman who would become my ex-wife. I remember being on a date at the same bar where I had met the other woman. My ex-wife was all over me, and I remember seeing the other woman out of the corner of my eye, just staring at the two of us together. Once again, I was confused, thinking, I don't get it. I'm with somebody else. She didn't want me before. Now I'm with my new girlfriend and she is always checking me out.